Good morning. Buenos dias. How's everyone today? Kimura, James. James, you want to check your inbox? Good morning, Holden. Good morning, Priscilla. How are you today? Good. Bien. That's it, Kimura. Absolutely. Buenos dias, Nikki. So our warm-up is kind of an odd one. How can asking the wrong question affect our understanding of a situation in any language, right? In any language. Yes, Nikki. Hola Marilisa, ¿qué tal? What do you think, you guys? I know it's a weird question. Try to put yourself in a situation. If you ask the wrong question, how can it affect our understanding of something? If we choose the wrong word, I mean, you know what? Think about it. You guys are familiar with AI, obviously. Am I right? Give me a thumbs up. Okay. And some schools are actually excuse me, teaching good. I'm not saying is good. I'm not saying is bad, but some schools are actually teaching people, good morning, Catalina, how to do like a proper search in AI. In other words, you have to choose the words correctly, right? To get the right answer. Do y'all know what I'm referring to? And so think about it. It's not just about like having a conversation with somebody, but think about, since we're so attached to the internet and all of this nonsense, right? Like, how does asking the wrong question, like even if you're asking an AI, right, or chat GPT or something like that, right, or a plain old Google search, how does asking the wrong question, like using the wrong words, how can that affect our understanding of something? Okay, so think about it. Pop your ideas in the chat. Good morning, Arsha, Sakari, Lay. How are we today? Remember, you guys, there's no right or wrong answer here. It's just kind of getting us to think about something. That's it. Very good, Kamura. That's possible. Really, Marilisa, did you like that? No, I didn't think so. Yeah, I didn't think that either. Akari, it's in our playlist. Do you know how to access our playlist? Hi, Heaven. Buenos dias, Oriana. So we're talking about asking questions, you guys. And I'm just kind of giving the example of, I can't see here, just kind of giving us the example of like, if how does they asking the wrong question? So if we use the wrong words, for example, in AI or chat GPT or something, how is that going to affect our understanding of something? Right. But same thing when we talk to human beings, if we ask the wrong question, right? So what are your thoughts? There's obviously no right or wrong answer here, Oriana, do we have a camera today, por favor? Buenos dias, Carlin, Aslan, how are we today? Hola. How we doing? You guys, are you having a good Thursday? About ready to check off another week of school? We have a long weekend coming up because Monday is Labor Day, right? It's all good, man. All good. Yeah, he's right. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Asking the wrong question, right? James, are you with us? Because I can't see you anymore. There you are. Oriana, Dallas, make sure I can see you, please. How we doing today? Be happy, y'all. It's Thursday. See, es jueves. All right, I'll give it another minute and let's see who we're missing this morning. We're thinking about asking the wrong question. How can that mess us up? Like if we're talking to somebody, if we're trying to do something on the computer and we need to do like a search and we ask the wrong question. Yes, exactly, Aslan. Absolutely. That's absolutely it. Absolutely right. Anyone else? Ideas? All right. I think Haley's trying to join. Absolutely, Kimura. Well, and if we think about if we if we ask the wrong question or like if we word the question incorrectly, right, you guys, in any language, right? I'm just talking about question. If we word the question incorrectly, we're not going to get like the proper information. And especially if we need to make a decision, you know, if we need to make a decision based on the information that we have, because we make decisions all the time, don't we, you guys? If we have to make a decision based on information and we have the wrong information, that's going to mess us up, you know? And even if it's not obvious immediately, it might be the kind of decision like in long term that might mess us up, right? Based on faulty information. Y'all with me? So it's not only about learning or homework or like a classroom situation or something like that, but even making a decision. Like if you ask if your question isn't worded properly, let's say, I don't know, I'm just going to pick something like, let's say you go to the bank, right? And you have some money and you figure out what to do with the money, you know, like what's the best way to get the most return on your money, right? Or you know, you're trying to do some kind of business venture, or you're trying to buy a car, or you're trying to buy a house or something. I don't know, whatever. If you ask the wrong question and you get the wrong information, right, then our decisions, which can be big decisions, you know, can be maybe not the best decision, right? So yeah, questions are important. Okay. Absolutely. You guys had some good answers. Okay. Good answers. So why are we talking about questions? Well, your guess is probably because we're going to learn how to do some questions in Spanish, right? So throughout the year, this year, it's, you know, like you've heard me say before, right? We start at the bottom, which is what we're doing now. And then we build on sort of the next step, you know, the previous step, and we move up and we get better and better, right? And we have to be patient with each other because remember, we're like with ourselves, I mean, because we're like little kids, you know, learning again, right? And so I'm going to introduce to you today the question words in Spanish, because as we go through the school year, right, I will be asking you questions. We'll do short, like story, kind of little paragraphs and things, and I'll ask you questions in Spanish. And so this is just the first step in knowing what the words are or recognizing the words that we're going to use all year long. Okay. All right. If you want to keep them like for yourself, if you're a note-taking person, because you want to have that as a reference, then go ahead and get out a piece of paper or your notebook or whatever it is that you use. If you are a note taker online, remember you should have at the beginning of the school year created a Spanish folder in your Google Drive. So you could go there now and open a document. Maybe you could title it question words or whatever it is, right? And you can take yourself some notes, okay, so that you would have those for reference as well. They are also posted, or they will be posted in our resource library in Canvas that you can always like go back and double check with. So it's really up to you how you want to learn, right? If you're the kind of student who likes to take notes, then this would be a time for you to go ahead and get organized. Okay. All right. Any questions about what we're doing so far? All right. Muy bien. Haley, ¿cómo estás? Did I say good morning to you, Haley? Bueno, all right, oopsie. All right, so what did we do? Let's do our thing, our date thing today, you guys. So hoy es jueves, today's Thursday, el 28, yeah, 28 de agosto, I got it right. Ooh, me, okay. Y vamos a empezar con las palabras interrogativas, right? So our question words, our interrogation, like when we interrogate somebody, right? And how are we going to do it? We're going to do it with a Nearpod. And again, if you want to take notes, si te gusta, you can take some notes. Okay. Oriana, you doing all right today? ¿Sientes mal? Huh? You don't feel good? Let's see, it is the 28th, right? Because you guys know I get the dates wrong often. Okay. All right. Akari, I'm going to ask you to join us today. Get ready to put that link in our chat. Let me send a message here real quick. Okay. Bueno. All righty. Ooh, I have too many tabs open. Okay, so you guys should be organized if you're a note taker. And as soon as this loads up, I will put the link in. All righty, there's your link, you guys. Here's your code. And so what we'll do is we'll go through them, and then there's a couple of games, and then we have a game at the very end, or a couple of like checks, and then we'll have a game at the end, right? There's this, you guys, unfortunately, is basic memorization, right? And so remember, this is just sort of an introduction to them so that I can use them in class, okay? So there are 16 of you online. I should see 16 of us in the Nearpod. Let me know if you have any issues. And when we finish this Nearpod, you guys, what we're going to do is I'm going to put some images up on the screen. And together, we're going to figure out which Spanish question word could we use, right? So we're going to like brainstorm a question and then figure out what Spanish question word we would use to get to ask that question. Okay, so be thinking. If I go too fast or if I go too slow, then please let me know. Okay. All right. I see 11 of us in the Nearpod. I need 5 more. So we don't want to keep the class waiting. I need a Kari, Oriana. I don't know, Haley and Heaven, I can't really tell if you're in the near pod. Holden, Carlin. We need to be in the near pod, please. Holden. In the near pod, click on the link. Okay. So again, these, let me know if I go too fast or too slow, you guys. This is an introduction. And then we're gonna see what we can do with them. Alrighty. All right. So our first word, you guys, is K. K. Notice the question marks. Did we talk about this in this class? I forget. Why do we have that upside down question mark? Why do we have the 2 question marks? Anybody remember?
So when we're reading, we can anticipate and know that's a question.
Absolutely. So when we're reading, we can anticipate, right, that the next sentence is going to be a question. All right. Because sometimes it's not going to be obvious. Okay. Now, you notice here, you guys, remember, we're always going to look for patterns. That this word K has an accent mark over the E. Now, does it matter? Absolutely. All right. Because sometimes, not in this case, but sometimes the accent mark changes the meaning of a word. So sometimes you'll see in Spanish in a sentence like the word K without the accent mark. And then the meaning changes from what to the word that. Okay. So accent marks are super important. And you're going to see that question words have accent marks. All of them have an accent mark, or most of them, right? All right. So our first one is K. So they are important. Okay, you guys. Is what. And then we have por qué. Por qué, which is why. Now I'm going to add something to this just because I want you to see how it works. How do we, let me erase that a second. In English, let's think about it. In English, you guys, if somebody asks, I don't know, why are you going to the store? Why are you going to the store? What could we say? What is our response to why in English? What's our response to why in English? Like what? Yeah, very good. Like our response to why in English, you guys, is going to be because, right? Because. Okay. I'm just going to use this little pencil here. That's how we respond to why in English. Okay. Now keep that in mind a second. Another way of asking why in English, okay, is think about this a second. Is for what, right? So let's think about it. For what? So instead of saying, why are you going to the store? We could say in English, what are you going to the store for? Right? So not necessarily to buy something, right? But why are you going? Well, I need milk. I need coffee, right? What are you going to the store for? What are you going to, why, what are you going to do? I don't know. We can use in English this for what, okay? As another way of asking why. If somebody were to come to you and say, I don't know, I'm going to the library or something, right? You could say to them, for what? Like, why are you going to the library? For what? What are you going to do there? Okay. So in Spanish, we have two words, for, and we learned on our previous slide, what. Yeah. So for what or why? ¿Por qué? Right? For what or why? ¿Por qué? And it has to be two words. Because in Spanish, when you answer why, and we want to say because, the word for because is por qué. It's the same word with the exception that we make it one word. So the question is two words, why. The response because is one word. And we lose the accent mark. Okay, so just know you're going to see, if you're going to ask the question, it has to be two words. All right, so you all tell me in the chat, or you can raise your hand. What do you think, based on the image, what does donde mean? Marilisa, what does donde mean?
Where?
Where. Very good. We're doing question words, right? So the word is where, donde. And there's multiple forms of where. There's like, where are you from? De donde, because de means from. So we can say de donde. Or we can add the word a, which means to or at. And so a donde, so like, where are you going to, right? Something like that. So there's multiple forms of donde, but if you got the gist that donde means where, then that's cool, right? Okay, good job, you guys. Thanks for putting it in the chat. And here we go. This is what, from where, like, where are you from, right? De donde, de donde. We put that word de in front. Okay. Again, I'm trying to, if you're taking notes, I'm trying to give y'all some time. So if I go too slow or too fast, just speak up. Okay. Okay, this is such a word here. Cuando with a D, meaning when. And we have the accent mark over the A in this case. Because if we think about it, even in English, I could, if I'm asking a question, because remember, these are question words. So if I'm asking a question, when are you going to school? That's our question, right? When are you going to school? Or at what time are you going to school? When are you going to school? Okay. A response could be, when I wake up. And so in that case, you guys, the when is not a question, right? When are you going to school? When my mom drops me off, when I wake up, when I feel like it, okay, whatever, right? Then it's not a question word anymore. So even in English, we use the word when to ask a question or in the response. And we don't worry about a spelling change, but in Spanish, the question is always going to have an accent mark, right? And so if you were to use this word in the sentence, if you're making a question, you have the accent mark, but in the response, when are you going to school? When I wake up, the when I wake up would not have the accent mark, okay? Okay, this is my favorite word ever of all time. Remember, the H is silent in Spanish. So we pronounce it I. Like our eyeballs, yeah? I. Now, why do I like it? Because if you don't learn anything else ever in any Spanish class, remember this word, because you can take this word and manipulate it to make it a question, to make it a sentence, to get your point across if you're lost in a Spanish-speaking country, I don't know, something, right? This is the word to know. And the good news is it's singular and plural. So I means, is there, okay, is there, or are there? So this single word has, it doesn't matter if what we're talking about is singular or plural, which in Spanish is helpful because remember, you guys, in Spanish, there's those 4 things that we always have to think about: masculine, feminine, singular, or plural. Well, this kind of makes our life easier because we don't have to worry about masculine and feminine, singular and plural, right? I, the question is I. And we can actually pair this up with another question word like where, where is there a bathroom or something, if we can't remember the verb, like donde está el baño, where is the bathroom? If we can't remember está, we could always go up to somebody and say, hey, donde hay un baño, right? Where is there a bathroom? Okay, so we can pair this up. This is a helpful one because if we can't remember our verb that we need to use, we can kind of flip around our sentences to use this as our verb, and we don't have to worry about it, okay? So remember, it's pronounced I. Okay, if you're taking notes, use them. Otherwise, I'm going to give you a few minutes. Match them up, you guys. Meaning, match up your meanings. As many times as you need. I'll give you about 3 minutes or so. Let's see how many we can get right. All right, good job, Kimura, Heaven, Carlin, Arshis, good job. Keep trying, you guys. Haley, nicely done. See. Lay, Oriana. Keep trying, you guys. Let's see.
I got Porquay and Quando wrong.
Oh, yeah. It's all right. It's all about practice. Good job, you guys. Keep going. Good job, Nikki. Yay. Okay, one more minute, you guys. Aslin, good job. Yes, you guys did great. All right, so let's see what our answers would be, you guys. I'm going to share my Zoom screen. It might make it easier. Okay, so I is there is or there are. K is what, and you guys see what's wrong? What's missing in all of these? What's missing in
The
all
question mark in front.
And the question mark in front, and what else?
Accent mark.
The accent mark. You know why? Because Nearpod wouldn't let me put the accent mark in, right? Shame on them. So yes, these all need accent marks, right? Except for I. So I, there is or there are. Que is what? Cuando with the D. Cuando is when. Porque is like for what, right? For what? Why? Donde, where, and de donde, from where. Okay, good job. You guys did that well. All right, let's get a few more. Okay, let's check out a few more. Okay. All right, can y'all see this necktie? Give me a thumbs up if y'all can see this necktie on your Nearpod. Okay, perfect. Okay. So this is a weird screen. Our word is como. And yesterday, remember we had the dog picture up and I was asking you to figure out what do you think the question was asking? I asked you to describe the dog, como. como es el perro, right? Because this word is multifunctional. And so it means how, but it can also mean how in the sense of like, not just how are you, but what are you like? What is something like describing? So when I asked you about the dog yesterday, como es el perro or something, como está el perro, I forget what I had on the question, right? But I was asking you for a description of the dog. Okay. What's he like? He's black and white, he's big or tall, he's short and fat, whatever. Okay. So we use this word como for how. Okay. But not only how are you, but when you want something described, right? So you can see up on the screen, we have like some, the person is generous or curious or smart or optimistic or attentive or tenacious, whatever, right? So when we're looking for a description. So how are we going to know? There's my question word, how. How are we going to know, you guys, which meaning it is? How are we going to know?
Based off the sentence and the words surrounding it.
Perfect. Context, right? You guys, based on our conversation, based on what we're reading, context is going to tell us what the question is asking, okay, in this case. All right. These are two different words. The first word is quién, and the second word is quiénes. So what they mean are who. Well, in English, we say who, right? Who is that? Who is going? Who said that? Whatever, okay? Who. But in Spanish, because everything that we think about has to be in terms of masculine, feminine, singular, or plural, we have plural question words, right? So depending upon what we're wanting to ask, if it's a multiple who, right? Then we have to make it plural. It's kind of like saying who all. Like in English, sometimes we say who all is going, right? Who all said that? Who all is sleeping? Who all is in Zoom, right? It's kind of like we do that in English. Who all, yeah. So for that case, it would be quiénes, the plural, right? And then the quién is just regular old who is in Zoom, who said that, or whatever, right? You guys ever say that in English? Like who all went with you? Who all's going to the movies? Who all, right? Because we're trying to figure out, we know that there's more than one person, right? That's going to do this activity, right? So quién and quiénes. So we have a singular quién and a plural quiénes. All right. And just like donde, we can have more than one. We can have a quién or de quién. And when we put those words in front, it all of a sudden changes the meaning to belonging. So if we want to, let's say we find somebody's phone. Yeah. And we need to know, we want to ask who does this phone belong to? Right? We can say a quién or de quién, right? Whose phone is this, right? Or who does this phone belong to? So it changes the meaning to a sense of belonging. So that's pretty important. So if you're taking notes, de quién or a quién is belonging. Who does this belong to? Okay. A quién can also be like, who did you say that to? Who did you give it to? Whatever. Okay. So the meaning is going to change a little bit. Okay. Another one that is helpful, you guys, is this. We saw it when we were looking at the vocabulary for school supplies. The question there was ¿Qué tienes? What do you have in terms of question mark school supplies? And so here we have tiene. So what do you have? Like, do you have any money? Right? Do you have a car? I don't know. Do you have a brother and a sister? Something like that. You know, do you have something? Okay. Tiene. Right? Tiene un perro. Tiene un, do you have a dog, right? Tiene un gato. Do you have a cat? So do you have? Now, if you're traveling, this is a great word to know. A great word to know. If you need to, you know, ask somebody, do you have something? Do you have any water? Tiene agua, right? Whatever. Okay. Yeah. Tiene. Okay. Here's another one. We have a singular and a plural version. ¿Cuál or cuáles? ¿Cuál is singular, cuáles plural. And just like in English, it can switch meanings. It can mean which, like which one, or what. Okay. And so, you know, grammatically, there's like a hard, fast rule. Like even in English, you guys, what if I were to ask you, what's the difference between which or what? Could you all explain that to me? Honestly, give me a yes or no. How do you know when to use which? And how do you know when to use what in English? Do we know? Aslan, do we know? Carolina, Heaven, Holden? Like if you had to explain it to somebody who doesn't speak English. It would be difficult, right? Are y'all telling me it would be difficult? Heaven, could you explain it to somebody who doesn't speak English, when to use which and when to use what? Haley, what do you say? Is it hard to know the difference? When to use which and when to use what? Kind of. Yeah. Which is more like which one do you prefer? Like make a choice or something, right? Versus what, right? But we do say, what do you like better? So we're asking the same question, just with different words. So same for Spanish, right? Which or what, they're kind of interchangeable. Yes. Yeah. Which is usually used when there are options. But we, like I said, we can also say, instead of saying, which do you prefer or which do you like better? We could also say, what do you like better? The blue one or the green one, you know, or something like that. Right. We do that in English. So they're kind of interchangeable depending upon what we want to say. Okay. All right. And this one. ¿Cuánto or cuánta? ¿Cuántos or cuántas? So based on the image, you guys, what do you think this means? So they're counting, right? So what do you think cuánto means? Yes, very good. So how many or how much? So we're talking quantity. How many or how much? We're talking quantity. So you see the letter T here? That's going to help us remember that we're talking about quantity. How many or how much? Because remember, we also have the word cuando with a D, that means when. So it sounds like they sound similar, right? So the T, quantity and cuantos, is going to help us keep them different. Okay, my next question to you is, why do we have a cuánto and a cuánta and a cuantos, and a cuantas. Who can help me out there? Yep. Yep. Very good. Good answers, you guys. So which one is masculine? Cuanto? Good, Haley. Cuanto or cuanta? Which one is masculine? Good, Kimura. The one with the O or the one with the A? Which one is masculine? What's your guess, you guys? Heaven, good job. Good, Lay. Very good, Haley. Anyone else? All right. So if it ends in an O, 9 times out of 10, you guys, it's going to be masculine. So cuánto is masculine. How much or how many? If we're talking about a masculine item. If we're talking about a feminine item, then it needs to be cuánta. And then if we're talking about more than one, we add our S. So there's 4 ways to ask how many or how much, depending upon masculine, feminine, singular, or plural. Okay. So just remember that when we're talking about quantity, we have that letter T, and that's kind of our clue to use cuánto, not cuándo with the D. Okay. All right. Any questions there? Almost done, you guys. Almost done. Here is sort of an example. Cuánto tiempo. So do you think this word tiempo is a cognate? What do you think it means? Tiempo. What's it look like? It looks like time. Very good, Kimura. Very good, Carolina. Very good, Heaven. So how much time or for how long? Okay. And so cuánto, how much time or for how long? Okay. Cuánto tiempo. All right. How long did it take you to, I don't know, clean the car or something, right? Or how much time do you need to clean the car? Whatever, right? So how long or how much time? Okay, very good, you guys. Okay, so we have a little drag and drop here, and then we have a little game to practice these. So I'm going to give you about 2 minutes to do our little drag and drop, and then we'll go on. Dallas, Akari, Lay. Let's do this real quick, drag and drop. Very good, Aslan. Arshas, good job. Be careful on that tiene. Tiene. Good job, Nikki. Carlin, muy bien. Kimura, muy bien. Dallas, can you drag and drop them? It won't let you. Can you use the little text box? Would that be easier if you can't drag and drop them? There you go. Okay, another minute, finish those up. All right, good job, you guys. Nicely done. Okay, muy bien. All right, let's do another little practice. Okay. And you should, let's hope the game loads. Is the game loading? Yeah, there it is. All right. Yes. Let's do the carnival. Why not? Okay. So y'all should be able to connect here. Yay, Nikki. Kamora. Oh, look at that. Got twins. So again, you guys, there are 16 of us. So we should have 16 of us in the game. You need 3 more. Oriana, join us. Kamora, are you in? You're in, aren't you? Yeah. All right, you guys. Okay, good job. All right, here we go. Do your best. Remember, this is strictly practice, you guys, so give it your best shot. Yay, great job, you guys. Nicely done. Nicely done. Woo-hoo. Congrats to the top three. Yeah, good job. Okay, let's go ahead and back out of our Nearpod, you guys. We can close that up. And you guys did a great job. Okay, yes, Oriana, please do. All right, let's go ahead and back out of that. Nicely done. Top three. Hoo-hoo. Good job. Okay. So we're going to do a couple of these today. Just because we only have about, I don't know, 18 minutes left or something like that. And so I'm going to share my screen. Okay. And like I said, we're only going to do a couple of these. So let me get your attention, right? So we're going to put up an image and we're going to try to brainstorm together, first of all, in English. Yeah, in English. Some of the questions that we could ask. I mean, think about the question words, right, you guys? We don't need like necessarily full sentences or something like that, unless it helps us, okay? But I've got the question words up behind me in my background, okay? So I'll put up a question, I mean, an image. We figure out what question it is we want to ask, and then we need to figure out what in English, and then we need to figure out what Spanish word we would use. Okay, does that make sense, you guys? Yeah? So we'll just do a couple of these. Okay, so what do you guess? You can pop it in the chat. You can raise your hand, unmute, whatever. What do y'all think? Oriana? Yeah, yes. Yeah. Okay. So someone says how many or how much, right? So what would our Spanish word be? Heaven, good job. Good job. No, Dallas. Okay, good job. Yeah, we can say quantity. So cuánto, cuántos, right? Cuánta or cuántas. All right, very good, you guys. All right, let's try another one. Ooh. So what question word would give us this response in Spanish? Remember, they're behind my head too, if you can see my screen. Very good, Heaven. So Carlin, that's the word. What's the question word? Haley, good job. Marilisa, very good. Yeah, we would ask why. Okay, so what is our Spanish word for why? Very good, Kimura. Very good, Arshis. Yeah, it would be por qué, right? Right above my head, if y'all can see my Zoom background. Por qué, two words. Two words, why? Because is the response, and the word because is porque, one word. So we have to make sure if we're asking the question that it's two words. Okay. All right. Ooh, how about this? So think about it in English, maybe. What question word could we use to come up with a question about this image? What do y'all think? Okay, which one? Very good. That's a possibility. What other English question word could we use? Yeah, which or which one? Any others? Which or which one? Okay, yeah, maybe where? Where would I find something, right? We could ask, is there or are there? Is there like a Diet Pepsi up in there? I don't know. I don't see a Diet Pepsi, right? Is there? Yeah, or very good, Lisa. How much do you need? Yeah. There's also, do you have a Diet Pepsi, right? Tiene. Okay, so let's think about some Spanish words. So if we wanted to say which one, what word would it be? Yeah, cuál, or if it's plural. Yeah, cuál or cuáles would be which, right? Or which one. Very good. How would we say, do you have? Which is the one for to have? Do you have? Do you have a Diet Pepsi? Do you have? What's have? Tiene. Very good. Tiene. You guys can look behind my head, see what's up here to help you. Okay. Somebody said, how much? Like, how much do you need, or how many do you need, or whatever, or how much do they cost? How much does it cost? So how would we ask that question? What would be our question word? So we could use cuál for which one. Tiene, do you have? Cuánto, right? Right? Cuánto, like how many or how much does it cost? Okay, very good. All right, let's try one more. So what do you think in English? What question words could we have here? Yeah, very good, Kimura. Yes, Heaven. Anybody else? Yeah. Yeah, where? Absolutely, where? So what would be our question word for where? Yeah, very good. Very good. ¿Dónde? Right? ¿Dónde está? I don't know what this is. A pasteleria or something like that, right? A bakery. Okay. It's like they make cookies or something. Yeah. All right. Very good. All right. Any questions about all that, you guys? Yeah, or how long does it take to get there? That's a good one. ¿Cuánto tiempo, right? If we walk, right? How long does it take to get there? Or how far away is it? Right? How far, how many miles away, or how, whatever, how far away would it be? Okay. All right. Good job, you guys. Okay. I'm going to give you a little brain break while I get my self together. And how much time do we have? About 10 minutes. I'm trying to think what's the best thing for you, since we have about 10 minutes left. All right, let me head on over here. Yep, that's what we're doing. Okay. So just looking at the grade book, some of us still need to complete those recordings on the numbers. Not everyone has done that. Just an FYI. Let me look in VHL and see how we're doing over there. Okay. There are some things I need to grade, but several of us still need to complete clasificar, which is due tomorrow. And there's a presentación that remember those are 1 point. So if you didn't do them, they would add up to 5 points, 10 points, or whatever. So it's just a little thing about the questions that's in VHL. So yeah, so there are some of us who still need to complete some work in VHL. So why don't we do that, you guys? Let's all go in Canvas. Let's go to our modules. Yep. I'm going to view as student. Okay, so everybody should be meeting me over in Canvas. Akari. Yeah. Carlin, Nikki. Okay, I also need to take attendance, you guys. I haven't done that yet. I forget. Okay. So just remember, let me share my screen. Just remember, you guys, that anything with the little firework, I guess, emoji, I'll call it a firework, yeah, is going to take you to the VHL, right? Did everybody turn in your video sheet? Okay, here is your clasificar. You can also just straight launch into VHL. The problem with that is going to be that it's going to give you assignments that are in VHL, but that have not been published in Canvas, and meaning that you're not responsible for them yet because we haven't done the lesson. Okay, so that's why I always recommend that you guys just click on the ones that you see posted in Canvas. Okay, and not all the ones that show here. All right, if you're done with everything, I will publish the practice sheet on the question words, and you can work on those today. Okay. Let me get there. Okay. So go ahead and refresh your Canvas screens if you're not in VHL. If you're in VHL and you're doing your work, you're cool. Don't worry about it. Okay, so if you have everything done, you have everything done in Canvas, you have everything done in VHL, then I went ahead where it says hacer preguntas, right? Making questions. I put the slides in. I put in the presentación. And then I put in a practice sheet. So if you're done with everything else, if you're done with all the other VHL stuff and all the other posted things, then you can come over here and work on these, okay? It's a drag and drop. There's where you have to choose the correct word to fill in the blank, which is a little bit of a challenge. And then you have a conversation, a basic conversation. How are you? How old are you? What do you do for a living? What's your name? And you're going to try to pick or match rather.
It's not showing up fine. I keep refreshing it and nothing.
Oh, you mean it's not showing up in Canvas?
Yeah, I refreshed it like 3 times and that's fine.
Okay. You may just need to let it stew and think a minute. I don't know what else to tell you. Okay. Yeah. Now this you have to click on annotations. Is that what you mean? Like once you get here, then you have to click on annotation. If that's what you mean. If you're telling me that you don't even see this in Canvas, then you may just have to wait for it. But once you get here, then you can click that. You can use the toolbar here. You can upload it to Cami. You can download here, whatever works for you, as long as you come back to Canvas to submit it. Okay. You can, whatever works, Heaven. I'm not, just because it says drag and drop doesn't mean if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Use the text box. You could also use on some of these, maybe the crayon-y thing. What is it? This paintbrushy thing, and you can just, draw me a line. I don't care how you do it. Whatever works. Yeah. Okay, again, if you guys have a question, behind me are question words or the slides. I did post the slides, okay? Yay, Dallas. Yay, Kimura. I gotta say, you guys have done a great job today. Keep it up. Oh, Kamora, yeah. Yeah, you guys make sure you scroll on that practice sheet on the question words. There's multiple pages there. There's also, you guys, listen, in the resource library, a visual guide of the question words. In other words, if you don't want to use the slides that are there to see, pick a word, because you have to click on slide, you can just go to the resource library and open up the visual, and then they're all there and you don't have to worry about clicking. Okay. Just an FYI. All right, you guys have a great one. Nos vemos martes. Adios. Enjoy your weekend. Adios, clase. Nos vemos martes. Sí, see you Tuesday. Adios. Good job today.